Hello and welcome back to episode 5 of Alternate History Simulated in Doodle Empires. This is the third episode I'm recording in a row. Might be the fourth episode I'm recording in a row. Right now on this save, I did just take a short break. I don't know why I'm out of breath. But let's get right into this. Previously I said how there was a rise of California last episode. That was the main event. We did see Finland come stronger, as well as France gain more European dominance. But we also saw the emergence of the Caucus Horde, which threatens Europe as it has taken over Moldova and Crimea. And we also saw over here, basically the creation of all these East Asian countries, the creation of the Han Dynasty, the still Japan, Sri Lanka, which I don't know why some of these countries are like Sri Lankan, like Portuguese rather than Portugal at some point or something. But that's just, yeah, well, it's Portuguese Empire. You should all be fine. But yeah, apologize if there's any naming issues. But you should be able to understand what country it is. But first, we're going to be going to the Han Dynasty, which is going to be having a small split, and I don't really know parts of China. I just make, what's a random, yeah, wait, hold on, Southern Chinese dynasties. Let me go ahead and find out what are some Southern Chinese dynasties. What's the first one it's going to say? No, tell me, tell me. We go ahead and see the creation of the Wu dynasty in South China, this color, and it'll probably be relatively small, like across this river maybe. There we go. This is the Wu dynasty, which I'm going to give these two, probably the two biggest cities in China, right? Shang-Chi. That's the blooming Marvel film that I loved. Shanghai. Sorry. Shanghai. Must see Beijing. I don't know Beijing. Beijing's obviously the capital of China, so. But I don't actually know if it's like the second most populated city. But there we go. Shanghai and Beijing, as China has now split into two, with the Wu and the Han Dynasty. And I'm sure anyone that knows these probably were nowhere near around the same time. This one might actually be after this one. Who knows? But anyway, we've got those random things. And small expand. We're going to go ahead and see the Red Empire continue to try and fight off the Lime Empire as they expand the territories, but they also do expand up here and even take over this island here and begin trying to get ocean access in the north. Then we see the Norwegian Empire unite with someone. This is exactly what I wanted last episode. We see Norway unite with Svalbard as Norway goes ahead and takes over this land, which is also kind of weird, but whatever. Next we see Sumatra go ahead and small expand, as we kind of have a mini Sumatra Empire. They mainly just focus up here in their newly conquered Myanmar and gain even more land. Do they take anything else? I think I'm just going to continue spanning them up here. They are mountaineers, so actually it does make sense for them to go up there. Maybe down here. I don't know. I'm assuming this mountain is meant to simulate the desert, right? Is there really mountains in Australia? Hold on, let me search that. Mountains in Australia. Okay, it turns out there actually is loads of mountains in Australia. My bad. I thought Australia was just a desert. I guess it's a desert with mountains in it. We see Iceland large expand. Okay. We see Iceland continue its war with Norway as they basically kick Norway basically completely out of Greenland as they actually intervene on the Greenland Civil War, almost eradicating one side of Greenland. Next we go over to Nepal, which is large expanding again as we see Nepal invade into Bangladesh, and we actually see Nepal conquer all of Bangladesh as we see Nepal continue to expand its land all around, as Nepal is a hill dweller, so I don't know. And I probably should put some cities down for Bangladesh and Nepal. I guess I'll add Dhaka in here, like somewhere around here, capitalized. And then, is this even Nepal? This might just be, I think this is Bhutan, not Nepal, but like, I call it Nepal because I forgot what Bhutan was. But I think Kathmandu is somewhere around here. It's going to be here, no matter what. There we go, Kathmandu. And I don't think there are any other big cities in the region. Forgive me if I'm wrong. But moving on, the cities aren't too big. like a factor. It's just nice to have them. We see the Wu Dynasty small expand, and rather than invading, we just see them try and consolidate their land down in the south. Then going straight over to the Irish Empire, we see the Irish Empire large expand as we see the large empire buy this land from Iceland, as we see them continue to expand their land down over in Brazil, as we see Irish Brazil coming pretty big. Then going over to Greece, we see Greece unite with someone. We don't see Greece unite with anyone. That wouldn't make any sense. We go over to Sumatra, as we see Sumatra continue to expand their land, and because they're mountain or hill dwellers. Nope. Okay, apparently this buggy and they don't want to unite, so we're going straight over. Up, Sumatra splitting. Okay, and we're actually going to see the island of Java go ahead and form their own nation down here, as Java just declares its independence. As I feel like Myanmar, like I'd prefer them to keep their continental land, and Java doesn't. What is much closer to Borneo rather than Sumatra. And we see Wu Dynasty medium expand, as we see them continue to expand their territories in southern China, focusing mainly on the flat farmable land. However, they do expand slightly into the mountainous regions. Going over to Iraq, we see Iraq large expand, as we see Iraq decisively defeat the Caucus Horde, pushing their land upwards, almost splitting the Caucus Horde into two, actually reducing a lot of the Caucus Horde major land. However, their capital is here, which I think is Baku. We also do see them go ahead, just for my sake, expand into the desert, claiming a pretty good portion of desert land, but also taking some land away from Yemen, as they also do invade into Iran, well not Iran, Persia, as you know they basically make an Iraqi empire, or Iraqi. I feel like I'm pronouncing that really wrong. I'm sorry. Iraq. Oh my god, I give up. But anyway, we see Baku as the capital of the Caucus Horde, probably. Although there's also probably more major cities in southern Russia. I thought there's a major city in southern Russia where like a big battle took place, like Volgograd. Is that what it's called? Like up here, we also see Volgograd as a pretty, strong, like, place of capitalization or whatever you want to call it. But without further ado, we're going over to Greece, which is getting a new leader, which is a mountaineer and peaceful. So that's something. We go over to Prussia, which medium expands. By the way, I don't know if the leader does anything. I'm assuming like the mountaineer, like if you're a mountaineer, then you like when you expand into mountains, it takes more draw power, if that makes sense. And I'm assuming if you're a mountaineer, it takes less, but if you expand into flat land, then blah blah blah. Or it's purely roleplay. So I'm assuming a thing like Conqueror might have a higher. I think Expansionist and Conqueror, I'm assuming either they use less draw power when expanding, or there's a higher chance they get expand. Anyway, Prussia expands, and Prussia decisively defeats France, reclaiming a good portion of its western land. And not long later, it just slightly defeats Finland. However, not really that good of a victory, as it only gains a few parts of land back. Going over to Korea, we see Korea actually decide to split, as we see Manchuria, which I actually just remembered that name. There you go. We see the country of Manchuria, or part of China called Manchuria, go ahead and rebel up here. And I'm assuming they don't have a city. I have no idea where the capital of Manchuria is, but I mean, I can make them have there we go. They're actually going to go ahead and have their capital as Vladivostok, which is I know it's a Russian city, but I don't care. There we go. We have Manchuria with their capital in a Russian city. And we go over to the Han Dynasty, but we see the Han Dynasty also consolidate their border, pushing upwards, as we see southern and northern China basically the same size. We go into Florida, which large expands. Florida has been completely destroyed. However, we see them defeat the Red Team, and we actually see them push back Florida in decisive war, as we see them also conquer Cuba, or the majority of Cuba, from the Portuguese, as the Floridians are back in the game. And we also see California finally declared as the Californian Empire. as the #1 country in the world. But back over to Nepal, we see Nepal unite. No. Nepal doesn't unite with anyone. They're enemies with Tibet. We see Java. Okay, we see Java found a religion, maybe, or draw a card. I don't know. But on to next, we see Eastern Greenland adopt a religion. That or do religion. What? I feel like I've had to adopt a religion for Eastern Greenland like 16 trillion times. We also go over to the Hispaniola Empire, which exists for some reason, but it doesn't matter because we're getting a new nation. Screw it, I'm gonna make the Mughals. Like, I don't know where the Mughals were, but they were around this area. And we see the creation of the Mughal Empire, which for now I will just follow along, like Pakistani rivers or whatever. They're mountaineers. Why are they mountaineers? Okay, we're not getting the Mughal Empire. We see the Wu Dynasty large expand. And for this, I'm just gonna literally just consolidate their borders, basically. And we see basically all of, like, most of Eastern Asia is now completely, like, controlled. And we actually see the Wu Dynasty take Taiwan and surrounding islands from Japan in a war. And we also see them eventually fight off against Vietnam, claiming this land from Vietnam. But not only this, they also see them claim all of the Philippines. Well, not all, but they claim Vietnamese Philippines until they eventually expand further down into Philippines. And the Wu Dynasty is now much more powerful than the Han Dynasty ever was, really. Actually, I'm making up a new country. It's the Karachian Empire. There we go. Don't know if that ever existed, but there we go. Karachian Empire. We go see Japan unite with someone, and we actually see Japan unite with Manchuria, which gets rid of that weird-looking border. We go over to Sweden, which adopts a religion. I don't know what they were originally. I think they're Muslim. But we actually see over the next few years, one of the main reasons for the Kalmar Union split is that Sweden is actually a more Kivist country, and Kivism is now the religion of Sweden. And going over to the Caucus Horde, which I'm really, really hoping will get to expand, we see the Caucus Horde launch a huge invasion. Well, firstly down here to claim their land, but mainly, well, okay, a bit more, but mainly in Europe, as we see the Caucus Horde take over Kiev, pushing it back, as well as up into Finland, as it also pushes into Romania, taking the Romanian capital, as well as Bulgaria, as it threatens Constantinople, one of the major Greek cities, as the Caucus Horde is now a huge threat to all of Europe. You know who's also a threat? The French Empire, which for about the 100th time defeats Germany in a war and actually takes over Denmark and even more of Germany, as Germany is forced to push west east. And also, it's not Germany, it's Prussia, but by this point, it's going to be Germany. It's not really Prussia anymore, but Germany. We go over to the Caucus Horde, which continues to expand as we continue to see the Caucus Horde have success in Turkey. However, we also see it continue to launch invasions into Romania, which is a pretty weak country after the loss of its capital. And going over to Iceland, we see Iceland large expand as we see Iceland end the Greenlandish civil war, as they also take away all of the rest of Norwegian Greenland, as Iceland continues to fight off Greenland, trying to claim it for itself. Also, look how big Iceland is. Bro, this is so dumb. Why is Greenland so big? I hate it. It's so annoying. Californian Empire goes ahead and adopts a religion. It doesn't actually have a religion. I don't want California to be Muslim. I guess California is Muslim now. Yay. I kind of wanted these people to keep their own religion, but it just forces me to adopt a religion. I can't not. We're going over to Poland, which you see Poland small expand, as Romania is basically collapsed. And we basically just see Poland go ahead and hopefully take over basically the whole country, as Poland gets some weird borders, but it takes over all of Romania, as we also see Poland fight back against the Finnish somehow. And there we go, we now have a really weird looking Poland, but Romania has now been wiped off the map by the Caucus Horde. And going back over California, we finally see California have a split, as I'm thinking I'm going to see the creation of the Yucatan Union or whatever. As over here, this area of the Californian Empire, based around the Yucatan, goes ahead and rebels forming the Yucatan Union, I guess. With their capital over here in Merida, or how you say that. And then going next, also, I feel like this video is quite long. I feel like I'm going too slow. We're going back over to the Caucus Horde, which we see the Caucus Horde continue to expand. As we see the Caucus Horde push into Poland and into a good portion of Kiev, almost wiping Kiev completely off the map, as they're planning an invasion into Greece. But for now, we're going over to Borneo, which decided to split. As we see, actually, I'm making Brunei. As we see the country of Brunei rebel up here, in this land, I guess. And there we go. We have Brunei. And there we go. We have Brunei up here, which I'm just going to call the capital Brunei, because I can't be asked to think of a good name. I'm not thinking of a good name, that's horrible. Not find the real name, because I'm too lazy. But going over to Sweden, we see them small expand as they push up here and decisively defeat Finland, but actually gives them a border on the Arctic Sea. Not the Arctic Sea. Is it the North? This is the North Sea. The Atlantic Ocean. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. Then we go over to Greece, which large expands, and we see in a decisive battle that Greece actually has a pretty good victory and liberates, well, not liberates, but takes over Bucharest by itself and pushes back the Horde completely out of Turkey as the major victory against the Horde for the first time. And we go over to Korea, where we see the creation of a new nation, and it's at this point which I'm probably going to turn the new nations off, as I don't really want any new nations. But if I have to make a new nation, then I guess we'll go to India, where we see the creation of the Delhi. Where we see the creation of the Delhi Sultanate, which is obviously centered in Delhi, which I'm hoping isn't under control of the other thing. But where even is Delhi? Like around here, probably. But anyway, this is Delhi. I'm just going to try and match it to this border as much as I can. Although I wish there was a way to toggle. There might be a way to toggle only the white pixels, as I only want to get the new land. But anyway, we see the creation of the Delhi Sultanate with its capital here for some reason. And there we go. We now have Delhi. Hopefully the... Oh, what did I just skip by? Well, I guess we're going over to California, where we see them found their own religion. This is what I wanted. And we see the creation of Californianism. Yeah! No! Oh my god, I made it green. All the religions are green. Oh my god, I'm so dumb. I'm changing California's color, bro. Okay, California is now this disgusting looking color, but it's different to green. We go over to Delhi, which activates the Age of Conflict, which is nice. And we go over to Sumatra, which will expand as we see Sumatra push up into this mountainous region. Why not? As this border will hopefully be almost finished after this. As we see Sumatra basically take the rest of this land. And we go over to Morocco, which exists for some reason. And we see the small Moroccan revolt down here. However, the Moroccan people are just down here for some reason. And we go over to Iraq, which wants a union. And we actually see Iraq go ahead and unite with Persia, as we go ahead and see the creation of the Iraqi Empire, a new formidable force to be messed with. And you might be thinking, well, where's Persia in the Iraqi Empire? Well, Persia, Persia just joined. Maybe like the Iraqi royal family got into Persia or something, and these countries are now together. Or maybe Persia was in turmoil, and the people were like, we're going to have to unite with a stronger person or whatever. And they were just like, you know what? Yeah, sure, whatever. Anyway, next, we're going over to Java, which is going to go ahead and large expand. We go ahead and see Java take a war with the Papa Empire, or the Papa Empire fights Java, but they lose. And we see Java quickly go ahead and carve out a pretty nice land as it takes all these islands over here and also launches its invasion into Borneo, where it takes a good portion of southern Borneo and even defeats the Sumatran Empire, which actually, hold on, let me find the biggest the biggest, God. We go ahead and see Java also take over southern Sumatra, which is about time that I give Sumatra its capital in Medan over here. And there we go. I should probably also make Singapore and Kuala Lumpur. Well, actually, that's such a Kuala, whatever, however you pronounce that name, which I'm actually gonna get rid of because it's annoying me that it's on the same level as this. Well, actually, I should probably. There we go. That looks a bit better. There we go. I'm also probably gonna make Bangkok. Might as well. I don't know. Actually, Bangkok is actually under this. Actually, no. Bangkok would be like right here, so it's on the border of these two countries. And I also probably need to make the capital of Vietnam, which is Hanoi, maybe, or it's Ho Chi Minh City or whatever. You know what? I might as well make that as well. Ho Chi Minh City. Yeah. We also go ahead and see Finland get a new leader, which is relevant. But we go over to Brunei, which medium expands, and we see Brunei expand its territories against Borneo. And basically, Borneo is just completely conquered by Brunei. As Brunei also defeats Java in a war, basically taking over almost all of Borneo. And yeah, Brunei is now big. We go over to the Yucatan Union, which probably should get a better name, but not, as the Yucatan Union actually goes ahead and conquers the brown country down here. However, it probably doesn't have enough pixels to take it all. Hopefully it does. There we go. And this Yucatan Union should probably just be the Yucatan Empire, because it's not really a union, because the Yucatan is just a tiny peninsula, but yeah. But now we're going over to Poland, where we see Poland defeat Finland in a war and basically form a pretty big Poland. And we also see Poland push back the Horde pretty largely, as we see the formation of Greater Poland, and Poland even defeats Prussia, as we see Poland conquer the majority of the Baltics, and we even see Poland defeat Kiev, taking over the last remaining parts of Kiev. As look at this huge Poland, and we see Poland bigger than it ever has been, and the Horde is slowly losing its power in Europe. But speaking of the Horde, we do see the Horde have a small expand, as the Horde does manage to go ahead and take back Bucharest and part of the Romanian coast, and slowly push back against the Polish invasion, or Polish forces, yeah, that's what I meant. But going over to the Delhi Sultanate, we see the Delhi Sultanate large expand, as we see them basically just push down into India, down here, as they basically just kind of fill in the gaps, as the Delhi Sultanate is probably the strongest country in India. We also do see them fight off the Karachi Empire, which actually should just be Karachi. I'm gonna call it the Karachi Sultanate. There you go. That's not how you spell Sultanate, is it? There we go. Alexa, how do you spell Sultanate? Alexa, how do you spell Sultanate? I don't understand what you meant by that question. Norway get a new leader. We're still in the age of conflict, however, As we do see Sunai medium expand, as we see Sunai fight off against Rome as they push them further and further out of Africa, as we see Sunai continue to expand their Egyptian land, as they also push into Greece, as we see Sunai become a pretty powerful country. But going over to Norway, we see Norway large expand. Oh, there's a lot we can do this. We see Norway defeat Sweden and take over this coastline, as they also push Sweden back on the mainland, taking over southern Sweden, crippling the country, as we also see them successfully go ahead and defeat Finland, taking over Sapmi, becoming a pretty powerful country up in here, decisively defeating their two main enemies. And we also see them, and this colony should probably be lost, but we also see them reinvade Greenland, taking over some land up here, which belongs to them. Then going over to the Papuan Empire, they're going to form a religion, but I'm pretty sure they already have one, so I'm just going to remake that religion. Then going over to Sinai, we see Sinai small expand, although I don't think it's going to work. No, we don't. We see Korea medium expand, so we see Korea take back Manchuria and also kick, launch an invasion into Han, threatening Beijing. Going over to Sweden, we see Sweden take back its coastline as Sweden kind of reformed. Although it fails to take, actually it does, no, it takes Lille, and yeah, basically Norway is kind of like the modern borders now, although Norway does actually have a coast on the Baltic Sea, so that's something. We're going over to Florida, we see Florida's small split, as we see Cuba go ahead and declare its independence from the Floridian Empire. I guess it's just Florida actually now. It's kind of weak. It does also go ahead and steal the Bahamas, which is pretty mean. But yeah, if we go ahead and create the city of Havana Unana. There we go. And then if we go over, oh no, I guess we're going to Greece. We see Greece large expand. Ooh. We see Greece launch an invasion into Sevastopol, Crimea, as Greece quickly takes over a lot of that. As we see Greece also liberate Moldova, as well as pushing back down into Sinai, as Greece is returning to somewhat of its former power, as it is taking back Sevastopol, Bucharest, Chisinau, and Crimea. Not Crimea. What is that island called? Cyprus? I'm such an idiot. I added a few more cities over here in the east. I'll eventually do it in the west, but I can't be asked. When we go over to Wu and we see a small split, as I think I'm just going to release the Philippines, which I am going to look up how to spell because I never can. Philippines. No, 1L. We see the creation of the Philippines down here, which is going to need a new color because that's the color of Brunei. And now that's really annoying me. Oh, forgot it. Well, we also see the Philippines take over Taiwan and these islands, and even take over a part of China, as I accidentally misdrew. So now we're stuck with that. But yeah, the Philippines are going to be maybe like that. No, we don't like that. We see the Philippines as a nice blue color. Maybe actually I'll make them. We see the Philippines come out as a. We see the Philippines exist as this blue color instead, and I just realized there's a pixel here that should belong to them, and this doesn't. This border is cursed, but hopefully, we'll get one of these countries in the age of conflict again, and one of them will invade the other. Next, going over to the Lime country, we see the Lime country small expand, as we basically see them continue to, expand up north, almost taking over all of the Quebec area. Going over to Nepal, we see Nepal diverge their origin, although I guess whatever. But then going over to the Philippines, hold on, drawing a card, we see them small expand, we see them take this, and we actually just see them go ahead and take all the Philippines, and we'll see them take this island from China, as, well, not China, the Wu dynasty, as they continue basically their invasion and crippling of the Wu dynasty, which is very unstable. We see Vietnam take the rest of this land, and we also see Vietnam begin their invasion into China up here. Next, we go ahead into Sweden, as we see Sweden large expand, as we see Sweden decisively beat Norway and go ahead and take over Denmark, as well as taking over all of the Norwegian land up here, greatly reducing the country. And we also go ahead and see Sweden begin claiming the Norwegian colonial possessions, which really should not exist anymore because Norway is too weak. We see the Red Empire go ahead and small split, which is interesting. We go ahead and see the Blue Country exist, which is a country that exists like right here. Yep, there we go. We have the Blue Country, which I guess is going to be very small because it's a small split. There we go. We are now have the Blue Country right here, which its capital is there's no like equivalent capital. Its capital is like right here, between the border between Canada and thingy, but I don't think there's actually a city here. Guess we're just gonna go ahead and put this city as Thunder Bay. Don't know if that's a big city, but it's got a cool name, so that is now the capital of that new country. And we're going over to Nepal, which is going to small expand as we see Nepal continue invading into Tibet, taking some land from the huge country, which is still huge. We're going over to Papua New Guinea, no, the Papuan Empire. We see them get a new leader. We're going over to Sinai. We see Sinai take back Cyprus for the 1000th time and basically consolidate their border with the Greek Empire and turn to elsewhere as they turn down south as they beat off the Yemen Empire. However, they also don't remember to go in here. They actually managed to take Tunisia away from Rome as they almost completely kick Rome out of Africa, as Rome is back to being terrible. And we go over to Crimea, which triggers another age of conflict, which will last almost exactly the last 30 turns in this episode. Which we're going over to the Wu Dynasty, which is going to small expand as we see Wu kick the Philippines off the island and also take back this land here as well as this land, and they also take back Taiwan, and the Philippines is now solely in the Philippines, and we'll see them fight back against the Vietnamese. We go over to the Karachi Sultanate, which just expands their land, whatever. We go over to Ecuador, which has finally done something since it was released, and I guess just expands its land like all the other countries with open space. And then we go over to Brunei, which completely kicks stuff from this island as it begins its invasion into the Philippines, which it manages to take the southern islands as it basically takes all of southern Philippines, threatening the capital. But it also goes ahead and takes the northern part of this island from the Java. Then we go over to the Philippines, which small expands as we see Philippines go ahead and basically liberate almost all its country from Brunei. But this is where we go over to Greenland as we see Greenland fight back against Iceland. Nobody cares. And then we go over to Wu, as we see Wu get a large expand as we see the Wu forces re-invade the Philippines as the Wu dynasty takes over the Philippines again. Although Brunei does still have footholds in the Philippines. Actually, no, they don't. We also see the Wu go ahead and take over Hanoi from Vietnam as the Wu dynasty completely cripples Vietnam. However, we also see them go ahead and launch an invasion into their northern neighbors as they quickly sweep through, the Han Dynasty, as they almost wipe the Han Dynasty off the map, and the Wu Dynasty is now one of the rising new powers. And this is where we go to Sumatra, where we see Sumatra take advantage of a weakened Vietnam and take over their capital, leaving Vietnam to just be just a few tribes, basically. And we go over to the French Empire, which declares its own origin. away. And if you look at the origin map, we see this very weird Persia, which is pretty weird. This is Tibet, this is Nepal, this is the Han Dynasty, is all this. There's not really anything interesting with Origin, to be honest. I mean, Rome is just Sinai and Rome now, I guess. There's no more Kiev. This is technically Romania. I just really find that funny that Poland is Romania. French Empire, now New Origin. Then we have the Irish Empire, the Red Empire, the Baja, actually, Portugal, and the Irish Empire. But ignoring that, going to our next country, Germany, we see Germany try to do something. We see Germany unite. Germany doesn't unite with anyone, bro. We go ahead and see Vietnam expand, maybe? No, we don't for some reason. That's weird. We go ahead and see Florida, a small expand, as we see Florida take back the Bahamas, as well as all of Cuba, as they also take over Jamaica from Portugal, and also Haiti. Then we go over to Norway, which we see Norway defeat Sweden, gaining back its coastline, which allows it to continue its empire, which really should collapse. And I'm waiting for it to collapse. And actually, we see Greenland go ahead and try and acquire this land, but they don't because it's so big. And then we see Sweden medium expand, as we see Sweden focus on taking over these islands just because I want them gone from Norwegian hands. Then going over to Nepal, we see Nepal small split, as we see the return of Bangladesh, which really should be like this country, as Bangladesh goes ahead and unites itself and basically just ruins the Nepal country. We see Morocco will expand, as we actually see Morocco try and rebel from Portugal, which probably do nothing, so will never get chosen. And here we see Finland large expand, which is something I really wanted, as Finland goes ahead and uses half its large expand, apparently taking over Norwegian colonies up north. As we see Finland also fights off Poland, taking back some of its previously lost land, although more importantly taking back these annoying Norwegian lands. We go over to Papua, which launches its invasion eastward into Java, taking over half of Java. Actually, we see Papua completely obliterate Java off the map, as they also go ahead and take over these islands. But more importantly, they also launch an invasion into Borneo. Well, it's Brunei, but on the Borneo island. And then we see Bangladesh large expand, as we see Bangladesh completely isolate Nepal from the coastline, retreating Nepal back solely to the mountains, where Nepal is eventually slowly but surely getting conquered by Bangladesh, which is really ugly for Doodle. We see Sumatra large expand, as we see Sumatra go ahead and finish off Vietnam, as it also pushes, oh my god, I'm stumbling my words, the Papua country off, and also takes over Java, as well as launching its own invasion into Borneo, taking the former Bornean capital away from Brunei, as we see the Sumatran Empire, or it could be the Sumatrese, I don't know. We see the creation of the Sumatra Empire, which is a pretty powerful empire. Now, turn 493, we see Morocco large expand, as for some reason the game just wants Morocco to exist, and Morocco actually manages to take back its capital, somehow looking basically better than ever, as this might be the biggest Morocco's been. Going over to Florida, we see Florida large expand, as we see Florida launch its own invasion of the Yucatan country, going ahead and splitting it into and taking over a good portion of the land down here, making this really annoying border gore, as Yucatan is now into. Then going over to Germany, we see Germany split, but like, I don't know enough German states, so we don't. Going over to Sweden, we see Sweden small expand, as we see Sweden take over all of this island here and this land here. Sweden continues to defeat Norway in many wars, taking over its coastline. Next we go over to Nepal, which decides it actually just wants to fight back for some reason, as Nepal goes ahead and takes back the majority of the mountainous land from Bangladesh, even managing to get its coastline back, looking really weird. Let me make sure I haven't missed anything. Yep, there we go. That is our Nepal and Bangladesh drama, I guess. Anyway, going over to Greenland, we see Greenland large expands. We see Greenland take over the Norwegian colony, finally, as we see Greenland continue, I don't know, just do Greenland things. I guess fight against Iceland, I should have made it, but whatever. Going over to Ethiopia, we see Ethiopia try and split, but I ran out of country names and I don't want any more countries. And this is where we go over to Ireland, where we actually see a small split, which I guess I'm going to have to do Brazil. Or I wonder if there's, hold on, local region of Brazil. We go ahead and see the creation of Para, a random Brazilian province that I thought looked kind of cool. And there we go. We see Para, which hopefully should be able to, you know, kind of exist. There we go. Para exists here. This capital going to be here, which will be Belém. There you go. However, Irish still exists in Brazil with a pretty good influence in two parts. We're going over to Greenland. We see Greenland split. Oh, I've gone a turn over. My bad. As we see this island declare independence, but Google Maps doesn't even show what island this is called. I'm going to call Baffin. This might be what it's called. It's called the Baffin Bay, so maybe this is Baffin. You know, if I had to give my guess. And, you know, basically this land, I'll give it this land. It should just be able to take all of this. There we go. We now have Baffin. Is there even a single, like, big settlement? Not really. There we go. What a way to end the video. But I am going to add this the only city that's showing up, which is, and there we go. That is the end of this episode. I think I'm finally tired out of recording Doodle Empires. We saw in terms of this episode, we did see the rise of Sinai and the Wu dynasty as a powerful empire, as well as Sumatra, actually. So Delhi. Well, we saw the Caucus Horde become huge, and then Greek took its ass, and Greece actually claimed Bucharest, Chisinau, and Sevastopol. We see the French. I don't know if the French Empire did much. We saw the collapse. Norway lose a lot of its land. Sweden come there. We saw Finland. Finland gained some land. Finland probably gained size, but like it lost an important land. We did see Portugal get pretty, like, Portugal's kind of on the decline. I think number one is probably still California. Number two, I'd probably actually give to the Wu dynasty. Number three, I'd probably give to France. Number four, I'd give to Sinai. And then number five, like, I don't know, maybe like Delhi or something. Maybe the Iraqi Empire or Greece probably still, just because of like how many cities it's got, which doesn't mean much. It's just because it started over here. But anyway, that is going to do it for episode 5. I hope you enjoyed. I really want to record another one, but like I'm probably too tired to do it. But maybe if I have energy later, I will. But yeah, that's probably going to be it for now. I hope you enjoyed these episodes, and these should be easy to edit. I just need to actually decide I want to edit them, which is probably going to be never. But yeah, hope you enjoyed.